Welcome to What the Heck's, your source for Warhammer Underworlds, and under 30 times the same Canadian is going to surprise us all at World Championships of Warhammer. I'm your co-host, Davy, and with me I have my not yet tired of talking about stuff from Worlds co-host, Phil. How are you doing, Phil?
I'm getting there, but no, I'm still excited. We can talk Worlds a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's been cool coming back to. We don't have a league actively going on, but just like the Thursday nights and getting some fun games and interactions in. I had some crazy games this last one, so it was fun. But speaking of crazy stuff, we have a guest this time, and that is for the second time on the show. We got G from Canada. G, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, thank you. Good evening, folks. Good morning if you listen in the morning.
We have G on because he was one of the more exciting stories coming out of the World Championships of Warhammer for Warhammer Underworlds. So we're going to be talking the Heralds of Kurnoth, a warband that honestly I probably couldn't have told you their exact name before Worlds. I think I was guessing they were like Sentinels or something. Like it's like I had just basically everyone would call them like the Three Skates or whatever. So we're going to talk about what drove G to take him, what his experience was like, and what recommendations he can have for folks who are doing that. We'd like that kind of story. And G, the last time we had on here, if I'm correct, was 2 years ago when you took the very recently released Sirenized Razors to the first Worlds, right?
Yep, that's correct. So happy to be back.
Yeah, Dark Horse Elves. That's his way. So we're gonna get to that in a second. Our usual things here is community shout outs. The boys, I was gonna say covered a lot of it, but that's actually next episode. We're doing a little time traveling here.
Yep.
But I wanted to shout out a particular article from Spent Glory, and that was Mads from the nation which scored the best. The number one score for Worlds was for Underworlds was the Danes, and I think Mads was part of that, and he's got a love letter to the Jaws of Itzel. That's a pretty good read. If you want another take on somebody's experience at Worlds, you can go check that out. Phil, you got anything to add, or you saving it all for the next episode?
Well, I guess I'm saving it for the next episode because I already recorded it, so we'll keep that there. Yeah, and I don't think there's been enough released since the Saturday preceding this Monday that I will have anything else to shout out.
Yeah. How about you, G? Anything you want to shout out? Your local or anything online, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to shout out our local community here in Ottawa that's been really burgeoning in the past few months, and due to, in no small part, to the efforts of Lucas, our store manager at the GW store, and he's been doing a phenomenal job at running the store in general, but also just pushing Underworlds because he loves the game. And we went through from almost nothing happening regularly to having 10, 12 players on a regular basis. So that's it's been great. Awesome. It's a great year for sure.
Yeah. Are these all folks generally that are they returning players, or are they second edition is their intro, or what's the take here?
So we had a little bit of traction at the end of version 1 that kind of died with the start of version 2, and some of those players are coming back, but mostly it's folks that were interested in other systems. We kind of met through a Necromunda campaign, and Graham, that people might be familiar with, and myself, we were like playing that Necromunda campaign. We were like, hey, what do you want to try Underworlds on the side while you're waiting for a table? And this is how we slowly converted people. But as I said as well, the store manager has been a great ally. He loves the game, plays himself. He's a great player, so obviously that helps.
That's awesome. Good shout out. Hey, a side question. What do you play in Necromunda?
The Ashwaste Nomads.
Oh, those are beautiful models.
Very creative models. They're very different from anything else you'd see in the like 40K universe.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like I was in a Dune vibe, and I was like, okay,
speaking Skylar's love language,
these guys for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Those are models that I look at. I'm like, I might not even play them. I might have to pick them up just to paint them. I have this I've talked many times about this game, Kevin. We do. There's this vehicle game, Gaslands, that use templates and
Oh yes,
all that racing. And I have this idea of upscaling it so that I can use like GW vehicles, and then I'd have ash waste nomads like as the NPCs, kind of run the game for everybody. It's a project that involves like assembling and painting like maybe amount of labor that you would usually take me 3 or 4 years. So it's probably just a pipe dream, but we'll see. It might happen. It's just kind of an excuse to get some of those ash waste nomads, I guess.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to jump into it. So, G, we got you on here to talk about another one of your dark horse picks, and this was the Heralds of Kurnoth. And you've talked to Phil a little bit already, some possibly on the stream, but we're going to assume that folks might be hearing this for the first time. So, the big thing was you took Heralds. You weren't the only Heralds player, right? Because Blake had them. But what led you to end up picking the Heralds? Was it like, hey, this is a secret power choice, or was it something else?
No, it was a completely different story, and also a completely different story from Worlds 2024 and 2025, where I went into the short prep that we have usually before Worlds, because lots of releases coming, obviously, but in the first 2 editions, I went into the prep with a lot of certainty of I want to play that, and I didn't have that experience at all with Worlds this year, where I really was in the tank for a long time. I wasn't sure what I would enjoy, what really I would like to play, and landed on Soul Raid at first because, well, they were obviously very strong, and we saw that there were a lot of Soul Raid at Worlds, including top 8. But and that was also a favorite of mine from the first edition. So I was like, okay, this looks like it's working, and I really went into prepping Soul Raid for a couple of weeks, and I had them locked in. I had them locked in for a long time. But on the side, I was also painting the Heralds, and I really love the models. I really love the theme, the vibes, and back of my mind, I was like, I want to play these guys. I really want to play with them, but I don't think I can bring them to Worlds. So what I'll do is I'll play Soul Raid at Worlds, hopefully, get a ticket, get reinvited, and then through the qualification cycle next year, I'll play Kurnoth. And when I say I brought them to my local store, the Heralds, and I say I want to play a game and I want to get dumped on. I want to lose with them, so they get out of my system. And play a buddy of mine who's like a great player and who loves Wormspat. I was like, that's great. Like Wormspat, really hard matchup. I'm gonna get destroyed by Wormspat, put them out of my system, but I won. And and then I played another game that day, and I won. And I played a third game, and I won, and so on and so forth. And I just kept winning with them, and say, okay, that's happening in the local. Like Worlds is going to be a completely different scene. Like I love them. I was still painting them at the time, but let's be reasonable. I locked in Soul Raid, and up to the very last minute, I had Soul Raid in there. And like at the 11th hour, I just made the change. I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to make a decision for the painting. I want to bring them for painting. I want to make showcase. Spoiler alert, I didn't, but that's a whole different story. And like I locked them. I still have 10 days to finish the painting. I'm going to be happy and I'm going to have fun no matter what, which I did. But I also performed pretty well. So, but that was kind of unexpected at that time. It was not I found something that nobody has found. I was like, no, I found something that I like, that I want to play, and that's enough for me at this point. So that's how I came to play them. But then obviously once they're in, it's like there's a second of realization of what have I done? Now I'm going to with that warband. So I better find a solution and a plan for that. So obviously I've been thinking about that a bit prior because I had to lock in the deck, but I've also just prior to that, like in that whole night of hesitation before the deadline, I was bouncing a lot of ideas with George from Path to Glory, so just shouting a shout out to him as well. So it just kind of guided me inside and outside of like ideas, just to wrap my head around what I could play with the Heralds, and I was trying to tell him same thing. Tell me they're bad. Tell me I shouldn't take them. And and he was like, yeah, no, you shouldn't take them. But that is good. That is good. That is good. And like, yeah, you know what, you're right. So eventually, after those exchanges, I made the decision, and then after like, well, I think I don't know what there was like 10, 12 days left to just really, really prep, because now that's just the deck and the warband I'm bringing. Luckily, we had a local organized play event that was happening the weekend before Worlds. So that was, an opportunity for a rehearsal in a competitive setting with them. So that was great as well. So that's kind of how I prepped. So really, a last minute change in a way of something that I've been thinking about but not really preparing, and then after I was all in.
Sure. So it sounds like by my rough count, before you submitted, you had about 3 games with them. Is that roughly before you switched them? Is that about right?
I think 5 in total.
Okay. And then after lock in, how many more would you say you got?
So I had, I think, like if we're counting in best of 3s, I had like probably 5 or 6 best of 3s after that. Like three in a competitive setting and that's 3 in just prep. Like,
I mean, every one is valuable, as I discovered to my detriment. But so what pairing did you end up going with?
So I took Amberstone Sentinels and Countdown to Cataclysm.
Okay. And was there any consideration of something else, or talk us through the reasoning on what locked you in on that?
Yeah, so I've tried quite a few things. Actually, when I was trying the warband, I was testing them a lot with Blazing Cata. It was kind of your standard aggro, but not all-in brutish aggro. It's a lot of warbands work with Blazing Cata, and they do. I've won with that, but obviously you can run into some very, very bad matchup, and you're really always at the mercy of the dice. So you can live and die by the dice, and players love it. I don't. So I was like, I'm not going to subject myself to 10 games at the highest level or 10 matches at the highest level with just running Blazing Cata. But it does work with them. Blake took that, I know, and he's got some success, some games also that didn't really go his way. But yeah, like just the general thought behind the pairing, you have to rewind a little bit and try to answer the question, what is the warband trying to do? Because that's also probably why folks at first discarded them or said, okay, they're fun, they have strength, but they're not good enough to play at that level, because it's kind of hard to see what is the warband trying to do, because feels like they got a little bit of everything, but that's kind of also their strength, is that they're at least I approach them as a toolbox warband, that you have 3 very, very different fighters that can do very, very different things, and they all 5 wounds, they all have bad defense dice at first, and but they have a great damage output and 5 wounds, so you still have to chew through 5 wounds even if you're hitting them a lot. And really they have a very versatile set of possibilities in general, and the war scroll is the same. Nothing is really spectacularly strong in their war scroll, but they have useful tools like double shots, always nice. A push 2 is really, really strong. Obviously, it happens only once, but it's really strong. And cleave and ensnare on a stick is always nice. So obviously, they have this little thing that they inspire by being aggressive in their own territory and just hitting things in their own territory. So I had to engineer a way to have most of the game happening in my territory, really. And the way you can do that is probably best with Amberstone. That's where you got the most, I'll say, positional / objective passive glory threat.
Sure.
And obviously Cataclysm also has a bit of that as well, and some just free glory in the deck as well. So
absolutely.
the problem that you can run into with Emberstone is that the surge package often asks you to go into enemy territory.
Yeah, this is exactly my question. It feels like the most challenging part of this pairing is what does your surge setup look like? Because Cataclysm's got some issues too.
Yes, and I would say generally Cataclysm has some issues, but when you think about it, the Heralds are really equipped to take the Cataclysm surges. Everything is kind of always just good enough to be played. Nothing is spectacularly strong, but everything is just good enough to be played. And like, for example, you have all your 3 fighters start uninspired with a 4 swords attack, melee attack. So you take overwhelming force. You got cleave and ensnare on a stick, 1 fighter that inspires to cleave. So you take perfect cuts. You've got an elite warband, only 3 fighters. You can take 2 close for comforts, and obviously they die because of the defense dice. So you can take collateral damage. So that allowed me to just pack those 4 surges that are situationally good, but for the Heralds always kind of playable, and just complement with the 2 surges from Emberstone Sentinel that don't require you to go into enemy territory, just unassailable and aggressive defender. Obviously, aggressive defender, the easiest one, especially when you've got range 2, range 3 fighters. But unassailable when you've got decent survivability still, and the tools that you have in those 2 decks to just stay on tokens.
Yeah. So if you're reaching for Emberstone, the other question about this pairing is where does your restricted card come in? And I have to assume that, well, I don't know. I would have assumed Supremacy if you've gone for Emberstone, but with 3 fighters. Is that the way you went, or did you go with the passive guaranteed 2 from Cataclysm with the Spread Havoc?
No, like I went for a Spread Havoc. I think you always go for Spread Havoc. The reason is double. The first one is, well, more often than not, you're going to end up with only 1 fighter left, and the only card in the deck that really requires 2 fighters is Set Explosives. But everything else, Iron Grasp can be scored with 1 fighter. All the hold specific treasure tokens, and everything else. But basically, you can still manage with 2 fighters that are dying, which happens a lot. It's extremely rare that you end up a game with 2 fighters alive. And if you have like 2 or 3 fighters alive by round 3, you've already won the game anyways. So it's gonna and it happens. Like obviously they introduce a lot of variance in the game with how many dice they roll and their damage output. So there were some games where it just like killed the enemy warband faster than they could do damage on me. But most of the games, like when dice even, I usually end up with 1 fighter. Like the good thing is that fighter can be Voltron pretty efficiently. So Spread Havoc. I mean, just as a general thought, I think Spread Havoc is the best objective that has ever been printed in the history of the game. Version 1, version 2. Like,
well,
there's no
be, right?
deck ever that doesn't take Spread Havoc. Even the floor of Spread Havoc, which is have this card in hand, score 1 glory, would go into absolutely every deck, anytime, all the time. You would get that card,
guaranteed.
And Spread Havoc is better than that, so you always take Spread Havoc.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Well, let's talk about the other side of the deck, the power cards. And one of the things that jumped out to me about this pairing is that you have 2, I guess 3 if you're taking Agile. You have cards to correct your defense, and I'm talking about Utter Conviction and Sharp Reflexes.
That's one of them.
2. Which are super big here. If you can put them onto a 5 health fighter, whichever one's still alive can really kind of get a ton of defense.
That's also one of the big elements, is that you get to an acceptable defense profile by putting those upgrades, or very good defense profile if you go to 3 or 4 defense dice without a conviction. But like usually the baseline is round 2, you have at least one fighter that is on 2 defense dice, and sometimes 2. And obviously that makes a huge difference. You have a tax for that. You have to have the glory, but it's not really a problem. But you have to pay the card for it, obviously, to get to the level that some warbands just get on their fighter cards.
Yeah.
But this is what Amberstone objective package does really for them, is it somewhat fixes their weaknesses, but also plays into their strength a lot, because when you have a fighter that is ranged to, like, inspires to 3 hammers, 2 damage Grievous, and you can slap Keen Eye on that, and you can slap Duelist on that fighter, and all of a sudden you got an absolute monster that can erase the enemy warband in a few activations. So quite often the games would end up either with Ilarin really sourced up with upgrades, and I can just chop hordes every activation, 1 Git die or 1 Grimwatch dice, or you end up sometimes with Cullen that gets great strength and just has 3 or 4 hammers for 4 damage.
Yeah. 4 damage. That's probably enough.
Well, and that was my experience playing with against Blake. Is in our first game he kind of ran me over, and once Ilarin got in amongst all my 3 health dwarves who are on a single defense dice, I was like, oh, he's like, every action is a dead dwarf, unless I like figure out something in a hurry. And so you talked about that toolbox idea. Like, that was a perfect tool for messing with me. And so finding what works. I like that. And like you said, cleave on a stick, or Cullen coming with cleave, means that you've got a lot of damage that you can apply as needed. So yeah, pretty impressive. One thing when we're building decks, a lot of times you have that, we call it like the 11th ploy, or the 10th or 11th ploy, or the 10th or 11th upgrade. Like, what were your edge case cards in this? Was there a card that was kind of in and out of the deck, or that, in retrospect might have swapped for something or anything like that?
I would think that there would be a couple. I like Hidden Path as a card.
Yeah.
I think in that particular deck, with what the warband was trying to do, I don't think it was a particularly good or useful card, but that's always a surprising one that you really like to have. I think my 11th would have been Savage Blow, just to get more accuracy, especially in that 4 swords attack.
Yeah.
So it really was a toss-up between Raging Tremors and Savage Blow for my accuracy ploy. And obviously Raging Tremors ended up winning because you can really stagger 2 or 3 fighters in round 2 or 3, and because the Chaos Dwarfs were a possibility, and quite frankly, I expected them to do better at Worlds than what they did. That's a card that really screws with them, especially if you get that round 2.
Yeah,
spend
absolutely.
their whole round 2 without being able to get their demon dice. So that was kind of the thought process here. In terms of upgrades, I would say the 10th was clearly Herald Weapon. There were games where Herald Weapon did absolutely nothing, but the ceiling, though, is there were games where Herald Weapon scores me glory, because I can get Aggressive Defender with it, because I can get a Duelist with it, because I can get the Duelist plus my push with it. So I would say that it did really nothing 4 out of 5 games, but the 5th one, it really scored me glory and was important. And the alternative was, I don't know, Driven by Pain maybe. So that's a nice card to have. It's better to have it on than not have it on, but it's something that you also don't mind bringing home.
Sure, totally.
Well, it's a tough one, right? Because when you have those 3 fighters and one of them doesn't have range, it can be so pivotal to end up in that situation where you can make that extra attack. But to your point, it is a very niche card as well, because if Cullen's the one who goes down first, you probably don't need Herald weapon all that often because you've got range on the other 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've put Herald weapon on Lenwith.
Oh,
sometimes
really?
Just to score
Just for
loaded
cleave?
for bear. Loaded for bear.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, literally could have been anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was. Like I just had the cards in hand. I was like, well, you know what? That's I'm gonna spend 1 card to score 1 glory. I can live with that.
Yeah,
Neat.
sure.
Yeah.
So we're talking about some of the different plays here with the War Scroll. You kind of mentioned the the push 2, the double shot, the cleave and ensnare on a stick, all those being on demand. I played against some warbands where it was just like, man, we have burned through our War Scrolls so fast. Like we've used all the abilities, especially like Gnarl Spirit Pack. I'd get kind of to the end of the first round and they'd have burned everything off their War Scroll, maybe except for the you can't cleave. Even that often, I would see that gone too. How many games would you like? How front loaded do you feel like this War Scroll is? Like how often were you kind of ripping through it, or how often were you still holding a couple in round 2 or 3?
So I would say like it really depends on the game. I've had games where I burn things quite fast, and I would say the cleave and ensnare usually is one that you use when you get the opportunity. I guess the reason why you would keep it is maybe to score perfect cut, but usually perfect cut is going to score on its own eventually. So you
Sure.
really want to inspire Ilarin. Like inspiring Ilarin is key to winning, because like all of a sudden you're threatening 3 damage at range 2 with great accuracy. So usually this one would get used on the first Ilarin attack. The double shot would obviously depend what I do in the first round with Lenwith. If Lenwith is shooting in the first round, chances are she's doing a double shot. If Lenwith uses the melee attack in first round, then obviously she doesn't double and waits until round 2. And the push 2 is really your trump card. So it's the one that you keep until you have to use it. You keep until you extract maximum value from it. So and obviously it works well when you're charged out. It works well as a surprise push 3 if you got Duelist in hand.
I was about to ask if you comboed with Duelist ever. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and the I think the sexiest combo is with Improvised Attack that you got.
Wow.
So I've had Improvised Attack in round 3 do a 4 hammers range 3 1 damage attack.
Yeah.
Shoot again with that same attack because it works with the War Scroll with Lenwith. It's a ranged attack. It has to be printed, and then push 2 or 3. So just the value extracted was pretty massive. Obviously that's the ceiling, but very often it's just like, you know what, I got possibly a drive back and a push 2 and maybe a ping if that works. Like that's already pretty high. So usually you'd keep the push 2 until you can really extract some value. I would say the games where I found myself using it earlier was maybe the games against Barf, because you don't want to be charging. So if you want to go somewhere without charging and still want to attack, then you have to burn your push early.
Oh, sure. That makes sense.
Thinking about the War Scroll, how about that passive ability?
No, Phil read my mind. That's exactly what I was going to ask about.
How did you find the ability to not be able to be flanked in your own territory? Like, how often was that?
Especially deadly synergy all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, and that was one of the reasons why I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to take Heralds, because I was expecting a lot of deadly synergy, and there was. It is nice. There's no question around it. It's not really something you can rely on, but it is nice to have. I would say the biggest downside of it is a lot of warbands nowadays give flanked and surrounded. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, even if you're not flanked, because even if you're flanked and surrounded, you're still not flanked, but surrounded doubles down on flanked. So not only what used to be called single support that are called flanked now, so count when you're flanked, but they also count when you're surrounded. That's the way the rulebook is written, so there's no way around it. Sometimes I had to convince my opponents that they were hitting me with the attack, because unfortunately, if I'm surrounded, all like those two sides are a success.
Yeah.
That's something I would really wish worked differently, because it feels like it might be. But first of all, it's clearly redundant in the rulebook, and it removes a bit of the flavor from the warband, especially when you're playing into Thorns, when you're playing into Mollog, and all of a sudden you're just flanked and surrounded all the time.
Sure,
Right?
sure, yeah. How about the flying? Was that ever relevant for you?
I mean, it is flying, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes it is relevant, and most often it is not. But it often gives you, a nicer position. Usually, what happens, and like if you're playing a lot of ghost warbands and a lot of warbands with flying in general, you feel like you do the same thing that you were doing anyways, but maybe you get into a more optimal hex for something else.
Sure, that makes
because
sense.
you have flying. So obviously, flying with move 4 is pretty nice. It gives more opportunities to get in the position you need, and that comes into play sometimes when you need to do damage and be on the tokens at the same time, which is what the deck is trying to do, right? So I don't think about specific plays where like thank goodness I've got flying, because otherwise I'm screwed. I would probably usually have something to do differently, but sometimes it allows you to pick the most optimal option rather than the best one you have available.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know definitely when I've played into warbands with flying, it doesn't come up as much as it used to. And so sometimes I forget about it. And then it's like, oh, actually you can get to me because you could just jump over. And so maybe it was more impactful to your opponent's planning.
Yeah, it's possible. And also I would think that decks that require you to be more aggro, like when you're playing Blazing Kata with them, then the flying comes into play probably a lot more, because you start from your territory, you jump over your own fighters, you jump over their own fighters that are in your territory, and then after you end up charging some fighter in the back line they thought you couldn't charge. I was not doing that as often, but sometimes it would come into play. Obviously, if I've already got inspired fighters and I can charge in their backfield, this is a situation where flying also can be important, just to get that extra square or that extra hex.
It's funny where like there's certain war scrolls that have that kind of ability that doesn't come into play all that often, but the times it does can like really, maybe that one or two times in your 10 matches, like it can be pretty clutch where somebody's like, I overlooked that. I thought I, was safe. For me, it was this is mine, fair and square, where you couldn't get pushed off a treasure. So somebody would hold on to like lure of battle to just try to disrupt supremacy at the last minute. Like, sorry, it didn't work. You're not next to me, and so it's an ability that most of the time nothing's happening, but when it works big, it can often catch somebody out because they're just not used to thinking about it. So I had this question for you. A lot of folks were surprised by how well you did. You already mentioned that you were surprised that you did not see more Blood of the Bull. Was there anything else that surprised you about the field at Worlds?
I don't think so. I was maybe expecting to see a a bit more gits than what we had. Even after the nerfs, gits were obviously still very strong, but I think people maybe got tired of them, and the fact that they got adjusted to a level that is acceptable.
Right.
I don't want to talk about the war scroll on release. I think people were kind of done with them, even though everybody was recognizing that they would be strong. As I said, like really surprised that the Chaos Dwarfs didn't do better. I was expecting them to be maybe a bit more aggressive, and that's maybe a repetition issue, or maybe just sometimes three shields are not enough. I don't know. I did well enough on one dodge, so I guess it doesn't matter all that much. But other than that, I was like really pleased with the spread of warbands. Obviously, lots of soul raid, but I was kind of expecting that.
Yeah.
I would prefer to see less pillage and plunder. Just generally, and I think it is very strong, but also at some point everybody's so used to play against it now that it loses a little bit of strength just by reps your opponents had and the amount of mirrors you're getting. So yeah, but that's also a kind of a personal thing. I'm really tired of playing into pillage and plunder because everybody, like if you're playing pillage and plunder, then your opponent is also playing pillage and plunder in a way. Like it kind of
100%
shapes the entire matchup, which is fine for me because doing what I was doing with the deck is also actively denying pillage and plunder.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is one of the reasons actually why I did well generally is I'm countering pillage and plunder. I wouldn't say effortlessly, but by doing what I'm already doing anyways. So
Right.
I don't have to disrupt anything from my own game plan to counter pillage. But yeah, that would be the other thing maybe is I knew we were going to see some pillage and plunder. I wasn't expecting to be still that much after yet another restriction.
Sure.
Yeah. Pillage and blazing in equal numbers, but still very high representation. Any feelings about blazing being that represented?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. Like the thing is, blazing is the most basic complement to anything, really. Because the surge and upgrade package is so strong that you take that. Like the ploys are also very good, and anything that has 3 decent end phases can just play blazing for the other pairing. The only weakness the deck has really is the end phases that are terrible, thankfully.
It'd have to be, right?
And I mean, even then, like, are they that terrible? There's one glory end phases that you're gonna score almost every time. And,
keep chopping fields of blood.
Good enough. That's often good enough. So, I wouldn't mind seeing one more restriction in blazing, just to have some variety. The problem right now that we have in the game is that the other decks that are competitive are played, enough, but really there are decks that are lagging so far behind that we're never going to see them in a competitive environment. So, maybe tuning down the too obvious, too fluid choices. That's really the one. The things about pillage and blazing is they offer version 1 fluidity in their scoring. And they're the only 2 decks that do that. So,
and I think for me, as much as I have like you seen pillage a whole bunch, ready to see something else. There are often times when I'm playing against pillage where I can be like, all right, well, I could do this thing or this thing to like try and make it harder for them to score, or try to deny. As frustrating as it can be to like, all right, I gotta like really hold on to this one spot to to stop them delving a treasure I held or something. But there are concrete things I can do to try and slow things down. Against blazing, it's just like, well, did you roll the dice you needed to roll? You did. Okay. It's frustrating to me that there is no way for me as the opponent to like kind of engage with that in a meaningful way with just, a very, very few handful of corner case exceptions. So that's not something that gets solved by another restriction or anything, but I think that's where I stand on the tiredness or frustration with that particular deck.
The old school plan of like play long enough boards that you sort of just negate some of the aggro is just not available anymore. Boards, you just start way too close. Like at most you can be 5 hexes away from somebody, I think. And against most warbands, that's just not enough. Like anybody can reach you just 5 hexes away.
Especially if they have +2 move from a free upgrade or something.
Yeah, but you could though, play on the surges and force to take some other surges than the one that also rely on just rolling dice. So
sure.
it's kind of that's how you would introduce variety. Like the problem is the line is very thin, I think, between the deck being what it is and the deck just being unplayable.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, and obviously that is because of those end phases that are, very low in scoring.
Yeah.
So if your deck isn't working fluidly, you cannot afford to play those end phases.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's it is a tough question, but also it is aggro. There's aggro players, and they're gonna live and die. They're gonna live and die by the dice, and it's gonna happen. It is only really problematic when there is a massive stat sticks like Wormspat, for example.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think the field is varied enough that sometimes you run into an aggro warband and you're not tired of it because that's what I'm playing now, and I can still deny one good charge from you, and I can still deny you your I'm charged out attack. So that's kind of how you play against it.
Yeah, less about the specific objectives and more about the board state and managing that, right? And as far as the end phases, we can't all be Thomas and take Annihilation and sometimes spread.
Yeah, the true cojones to be able to roll up to Worlds with Annihilation in your deck and be like, yeah, this is gonna work.
So G, it sounds like you didn't have too many surprises as far as the meta. It sounds like you kind of had a good sense of what to expect. Mostly saw what you expected. Given that when you were, with the spread that we had, which was pretty decent, were there any matchups you're like, as much as I can not face X warband or X pairing or X warband and pairing, that would help me? Was there stuff that you felt particularly disadvantaged against, or the converse advantaged against that you were like, yeah, I'd be happy to face that?
So I think that there were warbands that were scaring me just because they're obviously strong. So I mean I could pick all the strong ones and say Soul Raid, Mollog, Wormspat, probably, but I would say like the big hitters. That would be Mollog and Wormspat and Drum if we had a few more Drum. Maybe Headsman's Curse. Really, anything that can chew through wounds faster.
Sure.
Would be a problem for me because the strategy is you get hit, it's okay, you still have 5 wounds. But if the damage output is 3, then 4, then just 2, but then 3 and 4, then you're deleted in 6 activations, which unfortunately happened to me on stream.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That was That's I would say that's their limit. Really, is warbands that have a very 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 high damage output. And Gits can be like that in a way as well,
Oh yeah.
but you've got an answer, a bit of a better answer to Gits, that you also kill them. The
Mhm.
problem starts when they kill you and you don't kill them at all,
Mhm.
and I think that happens the most with Mollog and Wormspat.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think, I guess rather than me speculating, do you think that's why we saw so many people playing Mollog?
Because they're good against Kurnoth Heralds. I'm pretty sure it's
Well,
not. I'm pretty sure that's not why people.
Not specifically against Kurnoth's Herald, but because it's, hard to bring down Mollog and he hits really hard in return. So it's just like, I've got the damage output. I can deal with a lot of different things, and I'm really hard to bring down myself.
Yeah, I think Mollog benefited a lot from the fact that people were playing that warband, and then it got released with just everything better.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I think that, and also for being this much of a beater, the warband is actually quite interesting to play now. There's a lot of things you can do with the push. There's a lot of things you can do with the res. Obviously, the flanks around it. It's a warband that is interesting to play. So I'm really not surprised that people would bring. Mollog's always been a fan favorite, right? And
Yep.
at different stages of the life cycle of the game, Mollog's been either not so great or an absolute terror. And
Yeah.
I think right now Mollog is in a good spot, very strong, for sure, but not unplayable. And that's where you want most of your strong warbands, right? It's like very
Sure.
strong but not unplayable.
Yeah.
Wormspat, probably a bit of a different story. I think they have a bit too much. I think you can have great fighter cards, you can have great war scroll, but when you have both to that extent, it starts to become a problem a little bit. So I was more scared of Wormspat for sure than I would ever be of Mollog. But yeah, I think it's just objectively strong stat sticks. That's always going to attract people, especially when you're going to a competitive environment. I would say that Mollog is the most technical warband to play. Wormspat is just like rely on your dice and play.
Sure.
Play your game plan, right?
And both sides of your dice, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to view it, right? Having those defense rolls to reduce damage, it's just so backbreaking sometimes to just watch your opponent swing in with a 3 damage attack. It's like, no, it's going to be 2 or maybe even 1.
Yeah, like honestly, against Wormspat, the hardest thing was not really like the damage reduction. It was really the damage outputs and the bile. Like the bile just really, really, really hard to deal with. The free push is one of the best war scroll 1 usability. Like just push to fighter 1. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, Grievous on the stick is really, really good as well.
I mean,
right? Minus 1 dice, really, really good as well. So
any one of those abilities would be like a marquee ability on somebody else's war scroll, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking, I hope I did, because I feel like I did. In this last episode, we were talking about deck building, and I was like, what are the things that you're like always looking to take in your decks? And it's like, well, plus damage, pushes, things that like help keep you alive. And it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. They've got all of those things on their war scroll. And if we think about a war scroll as like giving you extra power cards that you just get to have all the time, that's pretty much perfect, right? You've got good stats plus really good abilities that are essentially good power cards. So, yeah.
So, G, you mentioned, some of the things you'd be worried about was headsman or Drum. Do you think the absence of Drum is kind of attributable to Wormspat? It was like, if you want to do what Drum's going to do, then maybe just Wormspat or just better stat blocks. Was that why we didn't see him, or do you think it was a combination of that and like hey, it was Domination last year, so like maybe chill out.
I think the latter. We've seen, Drum after their nerf is still a very strong warband, but
I agree.
when nobody's playing them,
Yeah.
and I think it's just the fatigue of it. Like Warband probably does the same thing, maybe a bit differently and maybe a bit stronger, but ultimately we're also like pushing very nice models on the board, right? And
Yeah.
it is probably also a matter of preference. It's just generally people like Nurgle. It like or people hate Nurgle. There's no in between. But people
What
that
up,
do like
Phil?
Nurgle
Yep.
really like Nurgle, right? So
Yeah.
so when you've got a Nurgle warband that is very very strong, it's something that people are going to play.
Mhm.
There's a few a few factions that do that often, and we all have our favorites, but
Yeah.
for example, I say what's a warband that I like that a lot of people don't. Let's say if Knives of the Crones were
Mm.
better than what they are, I don't think they would see that much more play. It's
Yeah.
just because they're not people's vibe, and I
Mhm.
understand and respect that.
Yeah.
But just generally, I feel like people that are into Nurgle are really into Nurgle,
Mhm.
and that obviously when you've got a warband that arguably has the best stats currently in the games and one of the best war scrolls and the best war scroll currently in the game, you want to play that.
Sure.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So, just reaching way back to you almost played. Are you like an elf enjoyer? Are you like Skylar? Are you were a soft spot for elves? Because
Yes.
okay, all right.
I mean, we've discussed with Skylar a few times. We always kind of like the same warbands. Like we
Yeah.
brought the same warband last year.
Yeah.
I think
Nice.
with a different different strategy for sure. But yeah, no, I usually enjoy elves.
Mhm. So the elves that you were almost gonna take the soul raid was that going to be was that blazing pillage? What was the pairing you were looking at there?
So Blazing Pillage was definitely an option, but
Yeah.
I was also looking at Amberstone Synergy, which would have been the only
Ooh,
Amberstone synergist already. Yeah.
spicy.
Oh,
I mean, I was not going to do everything like everybody, right? I had to
Yeah.
I had to do at least one thing different. So yeah, but like I just feel like with Fioran, the way she is, Amberstone is really good. She scores
Sure.
she scores you a lot of those surges in enemy territory.
Yeah.
The problem is like what happens if you're playing into Pillage and Plunder and you don't have the first activation and you don't have Confusion in hand.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what also had me hesitate. It's just how bad things can go if you don't get the tokens where you need.
Sure.
It's just obviously I think that I'm pretty decent at forcing and placing the tokens the game before the game, right?
Yeah.
So I would have been able to engineer some of it, but also with the caliber of opponents at Worlds, most definitely would not have been able to do everything I want with the tokens. So
That makes sense.
that would have made holding and having my synergy scoring more difficult into good opponents. But yeah, that's what I was looking at, and I prepped with it, and it works. So I was happy with that as well.
One of the things that I kind of took away from your run, in particular, like doing well with a warband that people didn't predict would even necessarily even be present, and then back at our spot we still have Welner ripping away with Exile Dead. I think while we could say there's some tweaks that need to happen to decks, maybe like another restricted here or there, maybe a war scroll needs some adjustments on some of the highest end. I think there's a ton of room right now for somebody to just like, if your favorite warband is, in your case, Heralds of Kurnoth, or, maybe it's Zicket or something like that. Like, I think there's a lot of room for somebody to just get super deep on a particular warband. I mean, let's take another example from Worlds. Was it Mateo with the Skinnerkin?
Yep.
Just like there's, obviously at the very, very highest level, we saw Wormspat on Barf win it all. But I think you can 100% be winning games with those warbands that are not like the absolute top tier. And especially if you're putting in the time, putting in the reps to like really kind of explore the edges of what they can really achieve. I don't know how you feel about that. If you think I'm overstating it, or if you back that up, but
Well, no, I agree with that. And now that we're all playing with the same decks, the gap between warbands is shorter.
sure,
So there's still clearly strong warbands and clearly weak warbands, but if we are if we're thinking in terms of tiers, I don't really like doing that, but
no, me neither.
you like the difference between an A plus and a B plus warband now is 10%, right? And
Sure.
and this is 10% that you can cover with a little bit of dice, a little bit of prep, a little bit of reps into your warband, and also a little bit of surprising your opponent. Like one thing I really benefited from probably is like in game one, my opponent's like, what is he even trying to do?
Yeah, the dark horse factor.
Exactly. So there's it happened quite often that game one, I surprise my opponents, and then maybe in one of the other two games, because we're still rolling dice, the attack dice go a bit in my favor, and I get to take the game. Right?
Yeah.
There's always that bit of variance in a best of three, if you can kind of lock in a game, and this is also how I built my run with Saranai a couple of years ago. Is when I get the longboard, I win the game, right? So that was what was happening back then. So in a best of three, you're gonna get at least once, and maybe you're gonna get the dice in the other in one of the other three games, right? So you got a bit of that best of three factor, that really 10-15% difference in absolute value between warbands is not that big of a gap. Obviously, in the in the long run, a great player piloting Wormspat with Barf wins. That happens. I think people don't play well into Barf, even at the highest level. So I mean, I lost to Yaroslav, right? So maybe I didn't either, but I feel like the deck is more counterable than what people are making it to be. So so there's a bit of that factor as well. But yeah, just to echo your sentiment, it is a good time to play what you like to play.
I agree. I think that's what was exciting, to come back home and be like, hey, like there's people out there who just brought what they're excited about, and they did well with it. Not me, but other people. But what? So the original idea was that you were going to soul raid and then go back to your what you were excited about and play some Heralds of Kurnoth. But you already played Heralds of Kurnoth. So what are you excited about now? What's the next thing?
That's a good question. I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the game first, like I usually always do after Worlds. Get on other projects, other game systems, or maybe even just other things in my life.
No, very fair.
But as I said, we have a burgeoning local scene, so I really want to dive into that as well, and bring up those players to competitive speed as much as we can. hopefully for CTC 2026, so that we have a strong local showing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just for listeners that don't know, CTC is the tournament we're running in Ottawa, and last year WTH came and grabbed a lot of the things that were available, not all of it. Ruben from Australia
Ruben
took the big win.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm hoping to see more what the hex folks next year. But yeah, like in terms of warband, I think might want to be trying the Brethren of the Bull a little bit, because well, now that I've seen they didn't do as well as I expected at Worlds, like, well, can I do it with them?
Yeah, challenge accepted.
Did I really misjudge the warband that much? So that there's one thing that I would like to try. I would say Soul Raid, but I got tired of playing against them, so now I don't really want to play with them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but that's kind of probably my next project. Is going to be either Brethren of the Bull. We also had a bit of discussion with Graham regarding the new Thricefold, and I think we can make the new Thricefold work locally as well.
That would be saucy. I would love to see that. I'm looking at I don't have that many warbands painted, but that's one of them, and I'm looking at them right now, and I was just thinking exactly that. It's like, I got to dabble with those guys. I got to figure that out. So
they're so different than they were before.
I know. Man.
I mean, you mean so different than a warband that won Worlds last year in the era where Rom was not nerfed yet, and then the same warband after 2 significant nerfs still won some qualifiers in the cycle. We're talking about that warband, right?
That one.
No, they deserve to be different, but it's just like completely just like 180, like, whoa, totally different identity. Deservingly so.
Well, G, this has been an awesome chat. I really appreciate you making the time. Is there anything else you want to talk about Worlds, about Heralds of Kurnoth, about anything while we got you on before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, just about Worlds in general. This year, again, a great event. Like, all the folks there, like all the players were amazing. I think we're very lucky to have the community that we have. In Underworlds. It's and I mean, we're lucky, but also we are the community, right? So we're building that luck, we're building it, and I think that's great. Like, every player I've played against is now a friend, yeah, so get out there, qualify, get to Worlds. It's really a great experience. There's rumors that it's going to be somewhere else this year, so I'm really, really excited to hear about that. Generally very, very happy about the state of the game. With a great G, like where the community is at, how it's been recovering slowly from the switch to version 2. And just invite everyone to get out there, roll some dice.
I love that shout out. I had an amazing time meeting so many people. Phil, it was awesome to have you there and me not have to stress out about the stream.
Just leave that to me. That's fine.
But I mean, like you said, there's people. I think I probably played Ruben, sometime during first edition. I remember losing to an RG, which I think is him. And I knew our boys had gone up, and you mentioned him in CTC, which is why I'm mentioning him now. And just like, what an awesome dude, like again and again, I was like, oh, here's this person that I knew online from Discord, and they're a really cool person. It was quite the reinforcing experience to be like we worked hard on our local community, but to see that world community be what it is was pretty great. So, but if you want to talk about it more, you can do so on our Discord, or you can drop us a line at whatthehexcast@gmail.com. If you want to check out anything else Age of Sigmar related, we have the whole Mortal Realms network. That's at themortalrealms.com. We want to say thanks to our patrons, and one more time, thanks to all the folks who donated to make that stream possible. and I say possible, like we did it anyway. So just to make it not such a big hit for the folks who volunteered their time, Phil and Jared, who came to bring that out to everybody. Sorry, G, you had to be on there and get run off the table by what do you say, 6 actions, but that the level of games on there, there's not a lot of that level of stuff that we get to put out there, and so it was cool for that to be there. I myself, because I was busy losing elsewhere in the hall, now I'm getting back to catching up on those games, and it's been really fun to do that. So I'd recommend it to anyone.
Yeah.
Coming up, your next episode is going to be a deck building episode, and that's from Zach and Phil. We realized we had not done one for 2nd edition, so that's the next one. We had some requests, and we appreciate that. But gentlemen, if you listen to this podcast, you know what's coming next, and that is the Flavatex quiz.
Yeah. Hopefully I can be like right on it, like this last episode that we were doing together. I'll be like, done.
That was impressive. This one's gonna be a lot harder because it's a deck that I don't think either of you have seen all that much.
No.
But I've had to go with a quote from the warband that we've been talking about. So this is from Lenwith, Eye of the Forest. Kurnoth's spirit endures, and the Spitewood will aid those who prove worthy of his favor.
Is that the upgrade that inspires you? What's the name? Bounty of Giran?
It's an extremely close guess. You've guessed the right deck. You've guessed that it is an upgrade, but it is a different one. It is an upgrade that I keep thinking is Healing Potion when it's in my hand, if that helps.
Is it the hidden aid in that
There
deck?
you go. Gene got it.
All right. Nice. Good job.
That is impressive. I struggled a little bit with the recommend listening. I was going to go with a Deer Tick song, but I'm going to pocket that because if we got somebody from another country, I try and get something from their nationality. So this is a Canadian band I like. This is Japan Droids, and Nature-ish. We go for The Love of Ivy. And for What the Hex, I've been Davy.
I've been Phil.
And it was G. Defense dice at first, and you can bleep. I said I was not swearing. You can bleep this one, but they had